This is the MMA Brief Podcast, recapping the world of mixed martial arts every single week, with your host, Brandon Johansson.
Welcome back to the MMA Brief. Episode 41. Took a week off. We're recapping UFC 215 and UFC Fight Night, Rockhold vs. Branch. UFC 215 had a sudden replacement in the headliner. Ray Borg, the title challenger, fell sick just a few days before the event, and his fight with Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson was canceled. The new headliner was the bantamweight champion Amanda Nunes versus Valentina Shevchenko. We'll start from the bottom of the main card, where Jeremy Stephens got the unanimous decision against former Strikeforce lightweight champion Gilbert Melendez. Beat the shit out of his legs early on with some really intense leg kicks, created some swelling. As Joe Rogan put it, it looked like a small rodent was trying to come out of his leg, just under the kneecap. He was compromised, fell to the ground 3 or 4 times, but still stayed in the fight, showed a lot of heart. But Jeremy Stephens cruised to victory. Ilir Latifi knocked off the Greg Jackson, Mike Winkeljohn product. Tyson Pedro for a unanimous decision. Former flyweight contender Henry Cejudo scored an excellent knockout against another former flyweight contender, Wilson Hayes. Beautiful right hand, lightning fast, right down the pipe, sent Wilson Hayes to the ground, and Cejudo got the victory. Former lightweight champion Rafael Dos Anjos picked up a big win against Neil Magny. He did so by arm triangle in the first round. Excellent performance, going to put him into a new tier, maybe top 5, top 7. He looks like a beast at this weight class. And in the main event, Amanda Nunes was able to defeat Valentina Shevchenko for the second time in her career by split decision. Personally, thought that Valentina Shevchenko did a little more, but I'm not a judge. And we're going to move over to Fight Night, Rockhold vs. Branch, which of course came on the same night that the real super fight in boxing, Canelo Alvarez vs. Triple G. I watched on Fox Sports 1 an excellent fight night. At the bottom, the very first fight, Gilbert Burns knocked out Jason Sago with a beautiful overhand right to get the action started. I'm engaged. I was at work watching the fights. And then the second fight, former tough competitor Uriah Hall, one of the best knockouts you'll ever see on The Ultimate Fighter, with a spinning back kick, returned to form after his setback against Derek Brunson with an excellent comeback victory over Krzysztof Jotko. Jotko was landing huge uppercuts against the fence, took him down, beat up Hall, and Hall came back in that second round and landed a beautiful right hand that just was on the end of his extension, rocked him, finished him on the ground. Huge comeback for Uriah Hall. Just what he needed. Get that confidence back and be a force at 185, which he has the ability to do, but he's had his setbacks as well. So it was a nice comeback victory. 2 straight knockouts by devastating right hands. First 2 fights of the card. I'm into it. Next fight, Daniel Spitz runs through Anthony Hamilton in 24 seconds of the first round. I'm like, daggone. 3 straight knockouts on this card. Next fight was a split decision. Didn't really pay attention to it much. Might have been a good fight. Next fight was a split decision. Didn't pay attention to it. Might have been a good fight. But the very next fight, Kamaru Usman folded up Sergio Moraes like a chair. It was very interesting how he fell to the ground. He kind of face planted, but then folded, and then I wouldn't say 180'd, but maybe 90'd. It was interesting. Interesting knockout. Huge win for Kamaru Usman. Once again, right hand, devastating fashion, ends a fight. It's just a theme here in Pittsburgh. Gregor Gillespie choked out Jason Gonzalez in an excellent fight. Some people are talking about maybe a candidate for Fight of the Year. I don't know. I don't know about all that. But I know that Gregor Gillespie looks great. He's undefeated, and he got the win. They were trading in the pocket. Both guys throwing reckless abandon. Anybody could have got knocked out, but Gillespie gets the win. Anthony Smith got the third round knockout over former Bellator welterweight champion Hector Lombard. Devastating right hand, which he threw in a combination, disguised it right down the pipe, folded him up, couple strikes on the ground, and the referee had saw enough. Hector Lombard has been stopped by knockout in 3 of his last 4 bouts. Sad to see it. Time just goes by. You're good, and then it's over. And it's past due. That's how it happens, man. Hector Lombard had never been knocked out. Had a great chin. And you can say this about a lot of people. Might be time for him to move on to maybe coaching. He's a great MMA practitioner, but his chin might not be holding up anymore. Moving to the co-main event, late replacement for Thiago Alves, who was dealing with the hurricane aftermath in Florida, didn't want to leave his kids, so he had to pull out of the fight the week of. Alex Reyes hopped in there, moving up a weight class against the dangerous Platinum Mike Perry. I saw it firsthand in Nashville this past April. Mike Perry has devastating knockout power. Jake Ellenberger was unconscious for several minutes and had to be attended to. It was a scary situation when Mike Perry landed that shot. He did it again. First round knockout of the newcomer Alex Reyes with a devastating knee. A hammer fist to follow up. So Mike Perry did what he had to do, what he was going to do, hopefully, and that's win by knockout. Again, this guy just runs through people. He called for Robbie Lawler after the fight. I do not agree with that. Come on. Robbie Lawler, in a division that has no clear number 1 contender, is not going to go to a guy who's not even in the top 10 rankings. So I think Platinum Mike Perry versus Kamaru Usman is a very reasonable matchup. Both guys trying to break into the top 10. Both have different styles of fighting. Usman has been showing his striking, but he's more of a ground specialist. Perry is a devastating knockout artist, and you'll have a striker versus grappler type of matchup. I like that fight. Anywho, moving to the main event, former middleweight champion Luke Rockhold took on the former World Series of Fighting 205-pound and 185-pound title, David Branch. A lot of trash talk leading into this fight. This is Luke Rockhold's first fight since losing by knockout and losing his title. Branch came out very aggressive, right in Rockhold's face, and Rockhold proved that he does have a chin, still, even after his knockout losses. Took some really clean shots. I don't think it was really a part of the game plan. Weathered the storm and ended up making David Branch tap to strikes. Something you see very rarely in the UFC. Usually a referee will jump in there and they'll call it a TKO. But David Branch actually tapped to the strikes from Luke Rockhold. He had him in a dominant position. Had a body lock takedown. And Luke Rockhold's very much back. Beat a tough guy. And he warned George St. Pierre after the fight. He said, "You don't know what you're signing up for. Do us all a favor. Pull out of the fight. I'll fight Bisping November. You don't want none of this, George." So it was weird that he focused all his attention on George St. Pierre, but it was an incredibly entertaining card. 8 finishes over the course of 10 fights, and it didn't come down to a draw, which Canelo versus Triple G did. I was glad I tuned into that. Thank you for tuning in to MMA Brief, episode 41. Come back next week. We're going to recap OSP versus Yushin Okami, I guess, is the new headliner in Japan. We'll talk about it. Peace.